How can you ride Cedar Point's roller coasters without needing to see a chiropractor or getting sick? Well, today we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about defensive riding, and we're going to talk about everything, including Top Thrill 2 and Siren's Curse today. I hope you're ready. I hope you're excited, and let's go. So first of all, what is defensive riding? Defensive riding is the idea that you can make a ride more comfortable for yourself if you know what you need to do while you are on that ride. And for some rides, there are very clear-cut rules, or at least I think that there are very clear-cut rules that have helped me to like those rides a little bit better. But also for other rides, it's much less straightforward. But the only way that you really can understand these rides is by becoming familiar with them as much as you can. Watching POVs, experiencing the ride multiple times over multiple years in different types of weather and all kinds of things like that. Those are all going to help you. But this is the best that I can do. What is up with my hat? It's weird. This is the best that I can do. I can give you kind of my own set of rules, and we're gonna actually go through some POVs today, and I'm gonna talk about what I would do while I'm riding that ride. Different things I might do with my head or with my body to brace myself a little bit for a specific point. And we're just gonna see what we can come up with inside of these rides that could help you the most. Like I said, some of them have very clear-cut rules. Some of them, maybe it's a bit more experiential, but either way, I think we'll have a little bit of fun talking about the different rides of Cedar Point. Let me know if you want to see this same kind of a video done for other parks like Kings Island, Indiana Beach even, or places like Busch Gardens. I'd love to do something like that for you guys. If there are different parks that you would like to see also, of course, that's limited to the parks I've been to, but if it's a place I've been to, then yeah, I definitely do it. So we'll be talking about every single coaster at Cedar Point today, and we're starting out with Rougarou, so let's get into this. All right, now first of all, like I said, we're talking about Rougarou. Right now we are on our way up the lift hill. Rougarou is a great ride, and it is set up in rows of 4. So you're already in rows of 4. Your feet are not touching. So you're seeing the tracks go right underneath your feet. So it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Getting up to the very, very top, although the seats aren't bad, like at all. It's just, it feels a little bit uneasy, I guess. That's really what I mean. Now, at this point, you're actually seeing, in modern day, you're seeing the spike from Top Thrill 2, but that's not on this POV right now. And you'll actually be seeing Siren's Curse right in front of you too. Right here, this feels very uneasy as you tilt to the right a little bit, and it feels, especially if you're on the right side, like you might fall. Now right here, I grab a hold as tight as I possibly can. It goes straight over. Now this part of the ride though is intensely smooth. All of this is really, really smooth. Everything moves at a great pace. Keep your head back and keep your head solid against the back wall, but you don't have to brace yourself too much. It's just that first drop that really kind of freaks me out just a little bit, but it's definitely really fun. Now right here, we start doing a few more moves. Especially right here, I grab a hold and I push my head to the back as far as I possibly can, because these corkscrews right here, where they kind of twist in between each other, and right here where you twist back and forth, it really hurts my ears a lot of times. I will end up boxing my ears against the shoulder harnesses that you are on. So those are pretty miserable for me, and you don't want to end up getting stuck, getting your ears boxed in the middle of that day. Now, where they are available, I will be using Cedar Point POVs that are official. That's the reason why I don't have an updated POV for Rougarou. A couple of years ago, Cedar Point said they were going to be getting out new POVs that are updated, but you will see a couple of things on these POVs that are not current, not so much with the individual ride, but with the surroundings that are happening around them. Cedar Point at this point in particular really needs to get some new POVs out, because things have changed dramatically since these 8 years or whatever they've been. Yeah, it looks like 8 years since the last POV drop that they've done. So like I said, they said they were making some for influencers to use, but they have not, or at least I haven't gotten to be able to use any. So there's that. Now our next ride is Millennium Force. And this ride moves very quickly up. It is in seats of 2, and you sit relatively close down to the floor. You are in an enclosed like seat, so you're pretty closed in as far as that goes. You feel less given to the elements than you do on Raptor, and your feet are not dangling; they're just in it. But right here, you get to the top of the hill. And this top hat, take a big deep breath and straight down. That hill feels like it goes down for a very long time. And then once I get back to the top of the next hill, I take a big deep breath. At this point, I just imagine I'm Superman. Hands up, I'm just going as fast as I can. When you get to the top of the hills, I always take a big deep breath in, because as you get going faster, it's harder to breathe. So I make sure that I'm getting those big deep breaths in so that I don't end up graying out on some of those bigger hills. But definitely it is so much fun every single time. Now this hill is my favorite one. I get to the top and you feel like you just float over the top of this hill. It is so smooth and it's fantastic. Right into a cave. I don't know. It's not a cave. A tunnel. That's the word I'm looking for. And then right here at the end, that little bunny hill that they have, I'll play a repeat here for you. That little bunny hill is really fantastic. It's something that feels like it just goes so fast over that little bunny hill. And at that point in particular, I feel very much like I am Superman. Then when I go over the very last hill that's kind of at an angle, I always make sure that my body is a bit more tilted toward the, I guess, toward the horizon, I guess, so that I feel a little bit more straight up. It kind of feels like if you're on a bucking bronco, like my body's this way, but my head and I guess my hips are this way and my body moves this way, just to kind of right things a little bit. It works really well for me, and either way though, this ride is not something that ends up being particularly difficult for me one way or another. Woodstock Express is a very smooth kids ride. It's set in seats of 2, very low to the ground and very, very small seats. They're made for kids, so expect that. It's a fun ride though. You get to the top and it's kind of a slow descent down. This is such an easy ride. Just let yourself go. You'll have a blast with it, and it's made for your kids. Even if your kids don't like it, it's so short that like a 30-second ride, that even if they start crying, they'll be crying for a few seconds and then they're ready to get off of it. There's really not a lot of tips that I can give on this ride, but I am doing every single one way or another. My biggest tip is, like I said, to reassure your kids that one way or another, this is not a massive commitment for them. This isn't going to be something that they have to be super afraid of, because it's never going to be a terrible, terrible ride for them. And chances are they might actually like it, and then it can be a gateway drug into the bigger coasters. Now, Maverick is a very, very fun coaster. It shoots you out, and once you get to the top of the hill, it actually feels like you kind of slow down just a little bit, and then you go down so steep that you go under the track a little bit, like at a 95-degree angle. So at this point, just let yourself go. You'll come out of your seat a little bit, It's going to freak you out. This is a let go and let God ride go. You just have to just let things happen as you shift from one side to the next. Now you're going to have corkscrews. You got to be prepared for those corkscrews. You're going to the left and another corkscrew. So I always prepare myself for those corkscrews because otherwise I'm going to freak out. Make sure I'm ready to stop right here underneath the track as I come under it, because otherwise it can be uncomfortable as you come down to that screeching halt. And it's not like a really bad one, it doesn't hurt. And then it takes off again. As it's taking off, you go straight up. Now the biggest thing that I have to prepare you for is some of these half corkscrews kind of that end up happening right here, this way, back. And then you go back this way and then right yourself again. So you almost go upside down, but you don't. There's also a big airtime hill. You will come up out of your seat at that point, so be prepared for it. Trust the harness. It is a blast of a ride, and you feel like you've ridden a bucking bronco for the last, minute and a half, however long the ride actually is. It is such a fun one, and I absolutely adore it. It's worthwhile to go check out, and then once you come back into the loading station, just catch your breath and go, whoo, that was a great ride. Now, corkscrew is a classic ride at Cedar Point, and it's one that I really adore, but it's also one that will beat the hell out of you. And this is one that is one of the most important rides, I think, for some rules that are really going to help you to survive this ride, because this is a great ride to get off of and either feel like you need a chiropractic adjustment or to feel like you just have a headache for the rest of the day. And nobody wants to be walking around Cedar Point feeling like they've been beaten up for the rest of the day. So these are some massive tips that I find to be really, really important. So we're gonna go through all of them one at a time here. Now, first of all, as you get up to the top, make sure that you're prepared. You're tight on your grip, on your harness, and you're able to push yourself back or give yourself more room. Now at this point, push yourself all the way to the back because you're gonna go, push yourself forward so that you go over that first hill and your head has room to move. Then push yourself back as you go over that first loop. Push yourself forward as you come up over, again, another hill. As you come down over this side entrance into these corkscrews, push your head all the way back for both of these corkscrews. Push yourself forward again right away as you come up over this hill, and then it's the end of the ride. So now just take some deep breaths and you're done. The torture is over. I promise you these tips will not fully make you feel good, but they will help you at least a little bit to mitigate the pain of this ride, because corkscrew really hurts, like kind of one way or another. This next ride is Steel Vengeance. From the very beginning, this ride is wild. So you get straight on to the track and you have these little moments here where you go up and down. Then the ride itself starts. You start coming up this track. You get moving up the lift hill. This lift hill is a very fast lift hill, but it is also one that's very nice for the view that's over to the right. So make sure you check out what's actually happening over at Cedar Point. It's amazing how even on this ride, you feel like you are so far above so many of the other rides. When I get to the top, take a big deep breath. This is a huge fall and you will come up out of your seat. Be prepared for it. You do not have any kind of a harness. There's nothing to grab onto at all. So just put your hands up. Each of these hills, these airtime hills, are on an angle, so you feel like you're gonna fall out to the right or to the left. Just be prepared for it. Go over these corkscrews. Just my hands just go up. I call it a let go and let God ride. Like, if you don't just let God and just know, like, well, if I die, then I die. Or if I don't, then I don't. It's fine. if you're trying to hold on, you're going to strain yourself and you're going to hurt yourself way more than this ride is going to hurt you. At this point, I don't even know which way is up anymore. I'm surrounded by wood and I just have fun with it. That's all I can tell you to do. This is such a blast of a ride, and I love how it takes the same track like about 3 times for like 3 loops, the same like pathway of track. So it's definitely really fun. Now these ending bunny hills right here, be prepared for those because those will kind of hurt a little bit, or they can. It's a pretty smooth ride though, even at that. So be expecting smoothness. And like I said, just hands up and just go with it. Just have a blast with it and just go like part of the fun is that you're living on the edge, or that at least your body feels like it's living on the edge. Like you could actually get hurt, and maybe you could, but nobody ever has. So it's a very fun ride, and just have fun with it. It's a great one to do. Now, Pipe Scream does not have a Cedar Point POV, so here we are using, let me make sure that I know who it is. DLP Welcome. I'm not sure who that is. I thought it says up here. Yeah, DLP Welcome. So I guess that's their YouTube channel. So go check them out if you would like to. Because I don't want to use someone's source without telling you who's the source is from. But we'll go check out this POV. Now for this, I say try to stay to the left of the ball in the middle. Now you can't really control where you're going to be necessarily, but your rotation is to the left for the entire time. So if you are to the left, then you feel kind of like you're still going forward all the time, kind of like this POV is. This POV always kind of feels like it's going forward even while it is in this rotation. But if you're on the right side, you're gonna feel almost kind of like you're going backwards. And I don't quite know how to explain it, other than it's just that the rotation isn't kind of straight in front of you. Instead, you're having to look at other people and you're having to look past that ball in order to go left. So it just takes your line of sight and it makes it more difficult to see. Now, my biggest tip is to find a thing that's in your line of sight that will continue to be in your line of sight for a while, and follow it all the way around. Like at this point, the tree is there, so I can follow it. And then I can find a coaster, or I can find Gemini there, and I can find a little piece of the track to watch. So follow your eye and find that one thing. I think that's why I like being on the left, because I like to have that line of sight that allows me to see so that I feel less dizzy when I'm going around in a circle. It's the same thing I do when I ride any of the rides that go around in circles at Cedar Point. Those rides can be pretty miserable for me, but it helps me a lot whenever I can see something and attach my eye to it and then follow it until it comes out of my line of vision. Now our next ride is Gemini. Gemini is a very fun ride, again, to Cedar, and it's one that's a little bit smaller. The seats feel a little bit more like Magnum, if you're familiar with that. They're more encapsulated into like one little metal container. It would also be a bit more similar to Millennium Force's seats also. But there's just a lap bar, and that's all you need for this ride. There's not a ton of like really dangerous feeling elements, and you don't go massively fast. It is a very slow lift hill getting up to the top. But then once you get up to the top, it's really fun. Also, if you are dueling racing, then it's also more fun because you have another car that's right next to you to help keep you entertained for the entire time. Also keeps the lines down. But we go down. This ride can beat you up pretty bad, and it's a little bit hard to tell you how to stop it from beating you up. To be prepared for when you get to the top of those hills is definitely a part of making it feel a little bit better. There was one time I went on this ride with Nathan, a good friend of mine, if you're not familiar with him, and the kid in front of us just was yelling, my balls, for the entire ride. Poor kid. So we went, again, we're going down and up. That's the majority of this ride. There is a near miss element also that always adds to the excitement of the ride. But the real difficulty, throughout this, it's all pretty decent. The real difficulty comes right here at the end with this final run of bunny hills. So you have a bunny hill here, and then another bunny hill right here. Both of those can hurt. And then you turn kind of on your right or on your left and go around a helix. As you go up that helix, that part will really shake you. And this is a ride that you need to make sure everything is still in your pockets when you're done with the ride, or also be, doing periodic checks during the ride to make sure nothing is falling out. Definitely a fun ride. I love Gemini. My daughter loves it also. It's not a massively difficult ride, but it can hurt a little bit. Of course, the younger ones among us have less trouble with it than the older ones among us, like me. Valraven is such a fun ride. Now, this one is a little bit different than anything else that we've talked about at this point. This is a very long train, I guess. Very wide train. Let's say that, not long, but wide train. I think it's 10 seats across for each one of them. There's only 3 rows. It is a very fun ride, and it's one that stops you at the top and just hangs you while you're looking at your doom. You'll see it in just a second here. Going up the lift hill is a very quick lift hill. It's one that you don't really have massive issues with. This ride also does have restraints that come down over your shoulders. These are more comfortable restraints than a lot of them, I think. And also the shoulder restraints are hard, but they have a strap that hugs your body, which I like a lot. And then a metal bar that comes up out here so you're not hitting your ears. It hangs you. Take a big deep breath and go. It's so fun. At this point, just pretend you're a bird and fly. That's all I do. I sound like I'm high. I'm not high. But there's really not much you can do other than taking a deep breath and then just letting things go as they do. You do need to trust the restraints. That's been an issue for me, which is why I've said it a couple times now, because I years ago got very nervous about the restraints. Are the restraints actually going to hold me? At one point, you actually go over a really slow barrel turn too that just happened, and I'll replay that here. Now, right here at the very end, this can hurt pretty bad. It's these breaks at the very end. So be prepared as you come over that last airtime hill to come in immediately into some pretty strong breaks. And it's like each break just is like your whole body lurches forward because it's braking. You move really fast again. Like, I don't know why they make it move so fast, but you move really fast again straight into another break, and you're like, oh, and you'll hear the whole group of people on the coaster doing that. Oh. I don't think it negates that much from the ride, but it does make a much more uncomfortable experience at the very end of this ride than with some of them at Cedar Point. Now, my next ride is Wild Mouse, and Wild Mouse is a very, very fun ride, but it is also one that makes me incredibly dizzy. It is a free spinning ride, and on top of that, it also is very unpredictable. So sometimes it's better than others, sometimes it's way worse. Just kind of depends on the situation. Again, with any spinning ride, especially if it's moving and spinning, Find something in your line of vision that it looks like you'll still be moving toward. So if I'm spinning this way, then I'll look for something that's way back here that I can watch while my head moves around. So while I keep the gaze, it goes this way, and then I have to find something else to look at immediately. You'll see on this POV, it really is just, you never know which way you're gonna look. At some point right here, actually, you hit a really bad break, and then you hit another bad break right here also at the very end. And a lot of times it'll spin you a lot, especially if you have the cheese card right at the end. It really makes you feel sick, and sometimes the entire ride smells like cheese. And I've been told that's because of the amount of people that puke on it. So be prepared. It also does have a lot of downtime. It's not a ride that has a lot of, that's been done particularly well. So a lot of times there are issues that happen with it, and downtime is unfortunately a big part of that. Blue Streak is again a very classic ride at Cedar Point. Probably the most classic ride at Cedar Point. And it is a ride that's characterized by a lot of airtime, a lot of airtime, and it's actually a lot steeper and faster, or at least feeling, than you might think it is. It is a really fun ride. It is two seats at a time. Now it's in that old wooden seat that you find on most wooden roller coasters. It is a little bit sketchy feeling because you can feel the seat moving and adjusting with the track. But if it didn't do that, it would come off the track. So it's a good thing that it does it. Now we've gotten up to the top, and right here you take that deep breath and be prepared to go on a wild adventure. These hills, they are so not tall, and because of that, you really get some airtime. And again, it's a lot of pressure, and you're just like, I can't breathe. So that's why I emphasize, take that big deep breath at the top of the hill. Now we've done our turnaround and we're ready to go back. Take another deep breath, right back down, up a little bit taller of a lift of a airtime hill, and another airtime hill. Now right here at the end, after this last airtime hill, now we prepare to stop pretty abruptly here, and be prepared, that might hurt just a little bit as it stops you there. Definitely a fun ride. I love Blue Streak. Although I will say, in the past, it has hurt massively for me. It's a ride that I have now begun to love in like my old age. Even though I rode it years ago, and then I was just like, oh, this is awful, and the seats are way too small, and the seats are very tight. But for some reason, I absolutely love that ride at this point. It's the airtime. That's why I love that ride. Now, I'm not seeing any POVs from Cedar Point, but there is a POV from Theme Park Insider here that we can use of Top Thrill 2. So I'm gonna use that with apologies to them. But go check out Theme Park Insider on YouTube. And now this ride comes off the track, kind of, and then you have a switch track that changes so that you can then go again. It launches you forward, and this ride is a very simple ride. It is one that to me feels like it gets more and more intense in a natural way. It starts out less intense, pushes you forward. It's not nearly as intense as the original Top Thrill Dragster. Oh, what is happening here? That glitch wasn't good. You get kind of halfway up and then you go down. As you go down, it launches you backwards again. These glitches are insane. And then launches you straight up. I wonder if that's my internet, honestly. And then back down. It's gonna launch you forward again, and at this point you go at a breakneck speed past everything. Look at all that. absolutely ridiculous. Straight up over, you're gonna feel it launch you to the right a little bit and then launch you again here to the right. And then you come straight in and the brakes take hold and you start to stop. It is a natural stopping point, like it doesn't feel like it hurts you or anything. It's not like a really hard stop, but it's definitely a fun one. And this is a fantastic ride. I really hope it's open for 2025 for the whole season. And I can't wait to see what actually happens with it, because it was really, really great for the few times I got to ride it in 2024. Now, that being said, things may be different with Top Thrill 2 this next year because of the cars. I don't know exactly what's been wrong with Top Thrill 2 because Cedar Point has been very hush-hush about it. I think it has to do with the cars and the wheels and the stress that's been put on them by this crazy ride. But I don't know exactly. That's all conjecture from me and from other YouTubers. So I don't feel like I can actually say what I think might end up happening, but it is a really fun thing. And it's worthwhile to go check out. So go check this ride out in this coming year. But yeah, we're gonna have to reevaluate it just a little bit because some elements have changed for 2025. And at this point, I haven't experienced those changes yet. All right, Cedar Creek Mine Ride is a very fun ride. It also hurts like crazy. This thing is, it's crazy because it feels like a ride that's as mundane as this ride is, would not be a ride that hurts. First of all, the lift hill going up, it's a very small lift hill, but you move at such a slow speed. Like just getting up there, it feels like a slog just altogether. Then the very first thing that you do is just a very, very tiny hill. And then basically that tiny hill just goes around just a little bit also. So you go down just a little bit here. At this point, each of these moments when you feel it kind of move up and lurch, when the camera does that, your body is moving up and lurching with each one of them. So watch it, and each time that the camera does that, go, oh, and that's what this ride experience is like. You fall down to the bog down there and then go around. Again, each time the camera lurches, it is making your body go, oh, oh, oh. And right here, you kind of hit a little bit of a break and you get into another lift hill. Getting up to the top of that lift hill, now this is kind of the most crazy part. Actually, I guess not quite yet. You fall down just a tiny amount one more time, just to kind of get you moving a little bit again. And then it takes you around on a little joyride, and right here's where the craziest part happens. Turns you to the side, and you've got just, again, oh. And you start going down into this helix, and again, oh. And then the helix happens. You get down to the bottom, and again, you've got an moment right there, going straight back up into the station. It is, like I said, it's a ride that I like it. I think it's fun. It's always one that I kind of gotta hit. Although the ride does sometimes get horrible lines, and by horrible, it's not anywhere near as bad as some of the rides at Cedar Point, but even waiting 30 minutes, I'm like, I'm not gonna wait 30 minutes to get the hell beat out of me, so no thank you. But if I can get it for a 10-minute wait, I'll usually ride it. The next ride is Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper does leave the station, goes around a little bit. You have beautiful views of the lake, kind of just all the way around. This is a great scenic ride, just from start to finish, of both the lake and then also of the front entrance and people entering the park into Cedar Point. Definitely a fun one for that kind of stuff. However, it has a few elements that make you question your existence just a little bit. And one of the very first ones is this very first element that it has, which turns you over coming into it. It is quite a bit scary. And again, it comes down to trusting the harness. As long as you can trust the harness, it's very, very fun. And at this point, then you are just on a joyride. Again, pretend you're a bird. This was built around the time that Valraven was built also. They were a couple years apart. And both of them feel very reminiscent to how can we make it feel like you are a bird just flying through our park. It's so much fun. Here we go again over that front entrance, watching the people enter the park as they're coming in. You can scream as loud as you can, terrifying them existentially as they come into the park. No part of this though feels particularly jerky or jolty. However, there are times, and you can see it on the video also, where it kind of shakes back and forth a little bit. So you can expect that a little bit. Right here at the very end, this can hurt just a little bit as it stops. But other than that, it is a great ride. It's so much fun and definitely a worthwhile one, especially if you want some scenic views of Cedar Point and of Cedar Point Beach. Now, Wilderness Run is the definition of a kid's ride. This is baby's first coaster. This is the coaster that my daughter rode for the very first time. It's a great little one to experience for your little ones. It's horrible for any adults, but it is one that will just kind of get them started. It's a very jolty ride all the way across. So right here in particular, you get to the bottom, jolt straight up. Get to the top, jolt straight down. Get to the bottom, jolt straight, and then get to the top, jolt again. When I film my daughter riding this ride, every time I see her ride it, it's a lot of this. Ooh, 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 ooh. And that's how it feels to ride it, especially as an adult in particular. So if you're gonna ride that ride defensively, you really gotta hold your neck and jaw and just all of this, like your jowls, really, really strong. So just work that out as hard as you can. That'll help you, I'm sure. Actually, I think that might hurt you more, honestly. It's one of those where it's gonna hurt no matter what you do. Raptor is a 4-seat dangling feet ride. It's an inverted coaster. As you can see, the track is above us and it is very fun. Although I'm not going to say it's my favorite coaster at all at Cedar Point, and it's certainly not my favorite inverted coaster that I've ridden. There's so many others that are better than Raptor, but Raptor is a very fun, very snappy ride. I've often said that it feels like you are a toddler in the hands of John Cena, and John Cena is just picking you up and tossing you around and flipping you, all that kind of stuff. That's what this ride feels like from beginning to end. You start going down. At this point, I grab that harness and I hold it as tightly as I possibly can to me. This first hill here is a doozy. That thing scares me really bad. And then this is a very tight, very concise vertical loop. And then you get a whole bunch of little corkscrew elements, little inversions that are really, really fun. Here's the Cobra roll. That is a blast. Again, hold it tight, trust the harness. Now this harness does hurt just a little bit because it can box your ears. So again, this is a ride where from beginning to end, I push my head back against the back as much as I can so that that back headrest will give my head some stability so that I can see, or so that I can, ride and see what's happening on the ride. Now, I have heard people say, oh, now right here, these helixes, these will put my feet to sleep every single time. Now, I have heard people say that on this ride, they do better if they put their head forward and they let their head move a little bit. That is not my experience, but it is something I want you guys to know because I've been told that by a couple different people. But for me, I always push my head all the way back and hold it as tightly as I possibly can, so that my head isn't just flopping around everywhere, because I found that so many of those elements, especially right there at the very end, actually I should show you that. Right here at the very end, you come around, turn around to the left, and straighten right there. That hurts so bad. You end up just like jolting, and it's a really hard stop there at the end. So that is definitely the roughest part of the ride all the way through. But this ride is pretty rough, especially because of the shoulder restraints that it utilizes. Iron Dragon, again, is another inverted coaster. However, this inverted coaster has like a basket that you sit in, essentially, with over-shoulder harnesses. It's a smooth ride, though, mostly, so you don't really have to worry about boxing your ears. And it also sways back and forth as you ride it. So you get a little bit more flexibility with it. Right here, I usually have to take a bit of a deep breath and let it take me down. And then at this point, it's just a blast. I used to take a nap on it, but now I like to look and see the view from right here, which is so pretty. You really go through these trees. You're a lot higher than you think you really are going to be. It took me a long time to realize how high up I was at that point. And then you get views of Top Thrill 2, or in this case, it's Top Thrill Dragster, because this is an insanely old video. And then it is again, another stop, but this is a slow stop. It's not a hard stop at all. And then you go up another lift hill, which that lift hill is very slow, but then you're in for a wild ride, because it's gonna get a lot faster really, really quickly here at the very end. So right here, you go straight down. A couple of these little turns that really make you sway back and forth. And then you go into the lake, into the fog, which they don't really do anymore. At least they haven't in the last couple of years. And then around into the end of the ride and back into the station. Now this ending right here, this is a really hard ending, right over the queue. It's definitely a fun one. I do really love that ride. I ride Iron Dragon as often as I possibly can. And our last coaster that we're really going to talk about before our bonus coaster at the end is Magnum. Magnum is a really fun coaster, but I feel like I've said that a whole bunch. It's a really fun coaster, but this coaster can really beat you up, especially at the end. Now, I've heard people say this is their favorite coaster. It's better than anything else in the world and all that kind of stuff. I can't get behind that. It's just not for me. Ghoster coasters, I'm looking at you. But to me, it's just not my favorite. It's not one that I can really get behind. But it does have some fantastic views of the lake, and it is a really fun ride. I'm gonna caution you about a couple little points that really can make or break your experience. Also in this, make sure everything is deep in a pocket. I lost my cell phone this last year and had to go fish it out at the end of the, well, they fished it out for me. At the end of the day, I had to get a brand new phone because my screen was just cracked beyond repair because it fell out of my pocket on this ride. So we'll talk about that too. This first hill is fantastic. It's so much fun. And then immediately you're back up. Now, this was the last handmade coaster at Cedar Point before they started making things digitally. Here, it moves over to the left and you go straight under this little, why do I always want to call it a cave? It's not a cave, it's a something else, I don't know. And then we turn over to the left. This is the turnaround. It's kind of like a big, massive highway cloverleaf. And then straight back into another tunnel. Tunnel's the word I'm looking for. And then you are up and down on several of these bunny hills. Now, each of these bunny hills, I get to the bottom and then to the top. and then to the bottom, and then to the top. Now I want to say you want to be strong with your body, but I almost feel like it's better if you just allow yourself to do this, because if you don't allow yourself to do this, you're gonna feel really, really hurt because you've been straining yourself against it while your body needs to do that. So I almost just feel like it's better just to let yourself do this while you're riding it instead. Now, when I was on those bunny hills, that's when I lost my phone. It must have fallen out and it got cracked on the concrete and probably hit a metal pole on the way down. So check your pockets multiple times throughout the ride to make sure that things are on it, or put it in a locker. There's a locker literally right outside of Magnum, so you can do that also. Definitely a fun ride, and I do like it, but it is not my favorite of all of the Cedar Point rides. Now, I have not ridden this ride. Siren's Curse is not a ride that I can ride yet, obviously, but it does look really exciting, and we're gonna talk about what I think it might feel like. So you get up to the top. First of all, that lift hill is insanely fast. You get up to the top. I do think being at the front of the ride train, and this is two-seater also, very similar to like Millennium Force. The train is going to go down, but if you're at the back, you're gonna go up. So you're gonna see everything come into view in front of people's or over people's heads. It's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be a terrifying feeling. It's gonna let you go. You're gonna go straight down. You're gonna go up, airtime, like massive, and then you're gonna flip right into it, flip over. You're gonna have so many elements. This is the most high-paced ride that I think Cedar Point has had to date. Look at all of these little flips and changes, and it's like Maverick, but I swear it's even faster than Maverick. Now I've heard people say maybe this is sped up, and maybe it is, because it doesn't feel like anything that Cedar Point has. It doesn't feel like anything that, like nothing Cedar Point has is that fast paced, moves that quickly. So we'll see what it's really like. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really fun. I do think it's going to require probably I guess I shouldn't say there's nothing that's that fast paced, because I do think that Steel Vengeance is that fast paced. So I think the two of them are going to be pretty comparable. I think Steel Vengeance is a much longer ride, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see what that ride really feels like, and if it's going to be as much fun as I think it might be, but we'll have to see what that is. So anyway, though, I'm very excited about it. I think Siren's Curse is gonna be one of those, again, let go and let God rides. Just like my hands are up, and we're just like, because there's gonna be nothing to hold on to. Unless maybe there'll be like a thing to hold on to at the front of your seat. That's possible, kind of like on Millennium Force. But I don't know, it's gonna be pretty wild, I think. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Are there other tips that help you on some of these rides? Or did these tips possibly help you with the 2025 season or future seasons of Cedar Point rides? Let me know down in the comments. Love to hear from you guys down there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Press that subscribe button and like button if you want more information about Cedar Point, Kings Island, and all those places. And like I said, if you would like me to talk about other parks and the rides that I've experienced there, and what my recommendations for those rides are, or you just want me just to talk about them just because it's fun, let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and what if you'd like for me to talk about some of these things. I am always looking for suggestions of things that we can discuss at Cedar Point. And it seems like it just never ends. It's been 5 years of all this content, so it never ends, apparently. So anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Let's go. Hey, thanks for watching. I release theme park related videos at least a couple times a week, so press that subscribe button if you made it this far. Also, check out similar videos in the playlist to the right or find my newest video to the left. Thanks again, and let's go!